how to do that. So that requires you have Git installed. So if you do Git and it's not installed, it's handy command here will help you out. It'll be like, yeah, sudo apt install Git. That means as a super user, use the apt program, which is the package manager for Ubuntu and a bunch of other distributions. Install is a command to give the apt command, the package manager, install Git. And Git is just a source code repository, I don't know how to explain it, tool. I mean, there's GitHub, which hosts the public repositories. There's GitLab, which hosts, it's another way of hosting public repositories. You can also edit files online. There's a whole bunch of plumbing that goes into it, but essentially it is how open source software gets distributed, updated, released. So again, you might have saw some of the PulseChain stuff, PulseChain.com on GitLab. This is where validator clients and stuff are forked and held and updated and all that. So yeah, they're just using Git, and there's different commits and different repos and different places for software to exist essentially. So when you're downloading it, for example, you go to the PulseChain Validator, and if you go to the docs, sorry, I'm scrolling so fast. I haven't calibrated this mouse with the virtual machine. To download scripts on your server, you need Git and then do a Git clone this repo. So where does this come from? It comes from here. So you go to code, and then you can see I want to clone the repo. Clone just means download. It means download the latest code that's in this branch I'm in, which is main. Is in the main branch. So if you copy that URL, they'll give it to you too. Or if you copy the command here fully. So go back to the VM. Oh, I'm in the VM. I get mixed up sometimes because I got different windows going on. So if we could do that, first we need to install Git. So apt install Git. It'll ask you yes. Again, you can do the -y flag to automatically say yes to this stuff. We're going to install it here. And then now that it's installed, we can do git clone, which it means just download the repo. God, shortcuts don't work either right now. And the URL. So we clone the repo, it goes in here. We change directories into the repo. I tap Pulse because that's the directory, CD into that. And then if you tap LS, which is just list, we see we have the different scripts here. And the command to do after this, I should probably update the repo to make sure they're already executable because backup client already is. But if you just do this change mode, this is change mode plus X. Plus X means make them executable. Asterisk means everything that starts with, or in this case ends with, .sh. So every script in here, we don't need to execute the README, but every script, make it .sh. And there it is. So now that we have that, the main script here that you use for doing validators is PulseChain Validator Setup. So once we come here and we can run it. So / means run. And we paste in what we have here, which was PulseChain Validator Setup. If we do that, it'll say, okay, it requires a fee address and IP args. So if we go back to the repo, you can see that, let's see, if you go to usage, you'll see you need to enter your network fee address. So this is the priority fees address. It could be your withdrawal address. It could not be. They could be the same. But if it is separate, then enter that fee address and then your server's IP address. Now, if you're setting this up somewhere else, a different location or whatever, and you know your IP address is going to change, because that's what would happen if you change locations, ISP, stuff like that, then you can always update this later with the update IP script. And so, you know, you can change this stuff later, but make sure it is correct before you start validating. So I would get it as correct as possible right now. So you could give it anything. I always do this like null address Ethereum. Where is this? Is Arbitrum. I mean, it's probably the same length, so I'll just copy that. But usually I go to Etherscan. And so if I'm just going to run it like this, just to give you an example, I'm just going to set it to the null address. You should probably never set it like this unless you're just testing stuff, because then all your feeds would be sent there. But I'm testing stuff, so I'm going to set it to that. And then I'm just going to make up an IP address like 1, 2, 3, 4, just to show you what it looks like when the script goes through. So once you give it that, it likes it, it continues, it says PulseChain Validator setup. This stuff automates most of the process, which again, that's what it's meant to do. It doesn't do 100%, but it does like 80, 90% of the stuff. Could take around 30 minutes to complete. And I'm just going to hit continue. And so now it asks me for the PLS password on step 1. So sometimes, depending on your environment and setup and stuff, it won't ask you for a password. If you have passwordless sudo, you can Google for that and it can show you all about it. But if it does, you just type in your password, hit enter, and now it will start adding all the programs. It'll start adding the different dependencies. It'll go through the steps. We can look at it here on the wiki. We'll look at the actual code, and I'll show you what it's doing. So if we go to the code, and we go to step 1. So step 1 is installing Golang. It's installing the app packages, the different packages that are needed for it to work. And they are defined here, just some like dev stuff essentially. And then once it gets to step 2, it'll add the node user, which is the user that it'll use for the clients. It will do the secret stuff between the clients. It will then it'll start setting up the actual clients themselves. So it'll start setting up Geth, start syncing the blockchain with that, and then put in all your system stuff, all your system config for the clients, so they run automatically. They'll do all that for you. Then I'll set up Lighthouse, both clients there. Although you got to wait to run the validator client till you import your keys and stuff like that, or that's the way you can do it. You'll set up that configuration, and then it will open up the firewall to the rules it needs. You need to do also on the network side, because this just is on the local side. Make sure on your network firewall or gateway or security groups, whatever you're using in the cloud too, it's open on there. Otherwise, it won't work. And then after that, you just follow these steps, which are well documented on the wiki as well. Generate your keys, import them, generate keys securely, I might add. Import them and do all that stuff. So again, I've documented all the different ways to generate your keys. You'll literally come here and go to after running the script, and it will explain in detail how to generate your keys, how to use Rufus to do like an ephemeral operating system, which is what we talked about in the first video when we talked about installing Ubuntu, or using another machine or a virtual machine, all this stuff, different trade-offs and stuff there. Running the client to generate keys, how to get them onto the USB, how to transfer them over the network, however you're going to do it, and then importing them as well. It goes over that and how to do it as well. So go back to here and see that, yeah, now it's, so this doesn't use Docker. A lot of other scripts and guides and stuff use Docker. This is actually building it from source, pulling everything down. That's just my preference of the way of doing things.